On the shores of Chesapeake Bay stands an honored institution. For the past 7 seasons, this national treasure has hosted the most accomplished names in the sport.
Young men and women come to Annapolis to learn how to be leaders, to be in our military, to provide us with the freedoms that we enjoy. And so it is just an honor.
These lucky few were gifted an opportunity to witness firsthand what leadership really means. They entered planes. They ran drills. They led the fleet.
It's not just practice and effort in basketball, it's practice and effort in a lot of choices in life.
We think sacrifice is getting up at 6:30 and lifting weights or running a couple extra sprints. Here we have people that have actually given their lives for us.
3 new teams arrived this year in hopes of soaking up all that these hallowed halls have to offer. Tonight, we not only celebrate a new season of this game we love, but we pay respect to one of our greatest resources, our veterans. This event is about pride, dedication, and resilience. 4 teams putting it all on the line in search of victory. This is the Veterans Classic. It is great to be back on the yard here at the Naval Academy. It's the 8th annual Veterans Classic, and it's back to normal. It was somewhat abbreviated last year, but this season, 4 teams. The first 2, Utah State, getting set to take on Richmond. Hey everybody, I'm Tom McCarthy along with Steve Lapis. We'll be joined by John Rothstein in just a little bit. Steve entering his 16th year at CBS. We have over 280 games on our network this year, and it all begins tonight.
Boy, it's always great to be back with you, Tom,
Yeah.
first, let me say. But being back here at the Naval Academy for Veterans Classic, it's always a great environment, and it's great for these kids and these coaches. They come here and they learn about how the midshipmen spend their regular day, which is a lot different than the way the normal college basketball player spends his. So there isn't one coach who's ever been here who says it wasn't the greatest thing to bring my team here. So that's the start of the event, and then we have 2 great games to go with it.
Yeah, it begins with Utah State and Richmond. And how about Richmond? Their starting 5, average age, 23.6 years. Look at all these guys they got back, including Grant Golden and Nate Ko, and also Nick Sherrod back from his knee injury. But it's Jacob Gilliard that runs this engine.
Boy, it's always great to have your point guard back for his 5th year. This kid averages 5 assists a game. He can score. He's a very, very good three-point shooter. But the really thing that he does unbelievably well is the way he plays defense. This kid is 20 steals away from being the all-time NCAA leader in steals. So he's going to get that record soon. As long as he stays healthy, hopefully, he'll be there. But this kid can really play.
All right, speaking of Utah State, now they're coming off another 20-win season, but they had some changes. They have a new head coach, Ryan Odom, who lived here in Annapolis up until last year. He was the head coach at UMBC. He was the first 16 seed to beat a number 1 seed when he was at UMBC when they beat Virginia. He goes out to Utah, brings a couple of his players with him, but he also has a double-double machine in Justin Bean.
And he averaged a double-double 2 years ago. Last year he averaged 12 and 7. He's a tremendous rebounder on both backboards. He's got a chance to be 1,000 points and 1,000 rebounds. He needs 300 rebounds, which is quite a lot. But this kid's a heck of a player. And how about the fact he was a walk-on that did all this? Unbelievable.
Yeah, very impressive young man. Now let's send it over to our PA announcer here at Navy, Greg Davis.
We ask that you please rise for the singing of the national anthem by Midshipman 2nd Class Kenna Pierce.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early lights what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight for the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave.
What a great rendition of our national anthem. It's Utah State and Richmond. Game 1 of 2 coming up from Alumni Hall.
College basketball on CBS Sports Network is sponsored by AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, and secure.
It was a beautiful afternoon here in Annapolis, and we got set for Utah State and Richmond by going to shoot around all day long. John Rothstein was there, and he's got something special to talk about with Tyler Burton, one of his 15 to become stars this year. Right, John?
Well, you named it, Tom. You and Coach Lapis touched on Richmond's experience. That's a big reason for the optimism surrounding this program. But don't forget about Tyler Burton. This is the Spiders' best long-term prospect. And, guys, last year when Tyler Burton scored in double figures, Richmond was 10-4. Put them in bold print, Tom.
Big time, big time. All right, let's take a look at the starting lineups for tonight. We begin with Utah State. So they've got the veterans back in Justin Bean and Brock Miller, and then they've got the transfers in Horvath and Jones and Idle-Rock. Horvath and Idle-Rock coming from UMBC. Meanwhile, for Richmond, they are just seasoned. They're trying to get to the NCAA tournament for the first time since 2011. They should have been there 2 years ago. Chris Mooney, he's done an excellent job. And you said to him today, he's kind of an oddity in college basketball because he's been there for so long.
Man, God bless him. He's able to keep his job this long because it's hard to do in this business.
17th season, 289 wins. Meanwhile, Ryan Odom, he won 105 games at UMBC. He was the 2021 America East Coach of the Year. He did excellent work at UMBC. There's no question about that.
He did a heck of a job, and let's face it, he has a win that will stand forever. No matter what he does, it's always going to be there that he beat a 1 seed as a 16 seed. Everybody was saying, is it ever going to happen? Well, guess what? It happened, and he did it.
Yeah, they may not get to New Orleans this year, but his game against Virginia will be heard as the teams go to New Orleans. All right, here we go. Jeff Pond is at center court, ready to toss it up, and we are underway. The 8th annual Veterans Classic between Richmond and Utah State. Navy and Virginia Tech comes up later, and the seasoned Richmond Spiders go on offense early.
Well, you'll see both of these teams play primarily man-to-man. You saw the double down on Grant Golden there. One thing about Grant Golden, he's top 10 all-time in assists at 6'10" at Richmond. He's able to kick the ball out there, so they made Utah State pay on that possession there by doubling.
Bean trying to answer, and he does. We're tied up at 3. We will see three-pointers from both teams tonight. I mean, obviously, in college basketball, you're going to see a lot of three-pointers, but these two teams do like to shoot the 3.
And Justin Bean, though, is not one of them.
No.
He only made 10 all of last year. He's got 2 now on this season. Much improved in that regard. But you see Grant Golden, all A-10 player. He's got a chance to be it for the 5th time, which is a record that'll never be broken, obviously because of COVID getting these kids back. But he has a chance to be a 5-time all A-10 player.
Rylan Jones, a little backdoor pass, so Utah State giving Richmond a little taste of its own medicine.
Yeah, that was a great pass there and a great cut.
That was an emphasis defensively today at the shoot-around by Utah State and Ryan Odom. But they do it offensively.
I mean, you'll see Richmond, they are a 5-out type team. Not that Grant Golden can't go in the post, but they get 5 guys outside. KO is really the only guy on the team who can't make threes on a consistent basis.
KO knocks it out of bounds. Here's that back cut for Utah State.
Yeah, you're going to see there that little shot fake is what drew the defense and made everybody look at Rylan Jones, and he's able to dish off for the back cut.
Idle-Rock checks out of the ball game for Utah State. And into the game for the first time is Stephen Ashworth.
You know, that's one thing about this Utah State team. They lost a lot from last year. Nemish Keita was a guy that he's in the NBA right now playing for the Sacramento Kings G League team. So they are a way different team than they were under Craig Smith.
Horvath and Bean were both there defensively, and the foul called on the Aggies. It's going to go against Bean.
And this is what KO does. He gets to the free throw line. He's the one starter, as I said, who's not that he can't make a three, but that's not what he does. That's certainly not his strength. But the thing about him is he gets to the free throw line a lot. And he's another, how about you have 4 1,000-point scorers in your lineup? I mean, that doesn't happen too often, KO being one of them.
Yeah, KO became the 50th member of the Richmond Spiders to reach 1,000 points last year. He misses the second free throw. 72% a season ago. But it's 6-5 Spiders on top. Oh, man, Bean was close. It was really close. Here's Ryland Jones, back cut to Horvath, can't slam it home. And Richmond goes back on offense. Here comes Gilliard, he'll run the point. Golden handles the basketball better than most point guards as a center. Gilliard takes the three, blocked by Miller partially, and Ashworth with the rebound.
Tough shot that time.
Ryland Jones in rhythm, it's no good, and KO with the board. Utah State lost a tough game its last time out against Cal Davis, and Ryan Odom said we just weren't tough enough. Here's Sherrod, short jumper off. He's been off on 2 shots so far.
Yeah, they really struggled, Tom, in the second half of that game against UC Davis. Defensively, they weren't really there.
Blocking foul called on KO. It'll send Bean to the free throw line. Lap, when Ryan Odom talks about his team just wasn't tough enough, as a head coach, when you walk away from a game thinking your team's not tough enough, how hard is that?
It's always hard, and you know that's something that's tough to, not that you can't change it, you got to change it, but you change it in time. But you know, I think he means more they weren't tough enough mentally to do what they needed to do that game. They're tough kids, but they need to be tougher mentally, especially when the game gets tight. You got to be ready defensively on every possession, and they weren't ready on every possession. They learned from it, I'm sure.
Bean made one, missed one, so each team has exchanged makes and misses on the free throw line. 17 minutes to play, first half. It's a 6-6 game. Here's Golden along the baseline. They want to double him as much as possible. They didn't really double him, but he had an awkward shot. Ryland Jones to Miller. Corner for Ashworth. Step back three. It's too long.
I mean, he has the reputation of being a really good shooter. He didn't shoot the ball well in that first game against UC Davis. They need his perimeter shooting because him, Ryland Jones, and Brock Miller, those are the 3 guys that are going to make the threes this year.
Yeah, he was 1 for 8 from the floor in that ball game. And Horvath is able to pull down the rebound. Yeah, Utah State left that game against Cal Davis saying that there was a lid on the basket in a lot of ways. Bean for 3, left corner, no good. And Golden with another rebound. All right, so Richmond on 2 minutes now and counting without a point.
A lot of pick and roll, a lot of dribble handoffs.
Utah State said that they didn't want to get up into the grill of Richmond defensively. They wanted to square up, maybe give them a step so they don't give up the back door. But then Richmond could hit the 3, and Gilliard just hit his second one.
Well, when you play a team like Richmond, you got to pick your poison. You got to decide, are we going to, if we're going to block off and not allow all these back cuts, that means we're going to have to pack it in a little bit. But when you pack it in a little bit, you allow for some 3-point shots, which Richmond is capable of making.
Ashworth to Horvath, and Horvath playing in front of his hometown crowd. He went to high school just a few miles away from here, which is part of the reason why Ryan Odom wanted Utah State to come to the Veterans Classic. Horvath, the transfer from UMBC, played in front of nobody last year. There were no crowds in that conference. And Golden tried to force his way off the backboard. It's no good.
He's tough because he's so good putting the ball on the floor.
Bean, no look pass to Miller. He may have got away with a travel. And Golden with his 3rd rebound.
You know, Brock Miller's a guy that they need. He's a senior. He's a guy who's played a lot of games. They need him to really produce this year from that 3-point line. And he's been a little bit up and down. He's a good career 3-point shooter. He can be even better.
By the way, Golden, with his rebounds in this first half, has now reached 800 rebounds for his career, and he can the 3 with the best of them. It's 12-8 Richmond.
I mean, this kid was 8 for 10 in that first game against NC Central. You can see how confident he is, how experienced he is. He knows what he can do.
How about the fact they were down by 14 at halftime? Chris Moody was telling us today, they were a fast team. Gilliard with a steal, 19 away from John Linehan's mark. Sherrod in motion for three. Back-to-back threes for Richmond. It's a 7-point game.
And you know, I mean, last year they had Blake Francis, who was a tremendous three-point shooter, but getting Sherrod back from those 2 ACL injuries is so key because he made 78 threes as a sophomore. This kid can really shoot.
Well, Horvath makes it a 4-point game. 13.5 to play here in the first half. Game 1 of 2 from the Naval Academy. Gilliard has it blocked away by Bean, gets it back. Shot clock does not reset. KO backing his way in. Separation. And the three is good. Burton from the corner.
You know, that's one thing about this team, having Burton and Sherrod on the wings, 2 big-time three-point shooters, and KO does a great job. They double him, and these guys are well-schooled on kicking that ball out of the post when they get doubled.
7-point game, Horvath against Golden. Horvath to the baseline. And now Rylan Jones splits the defense, lays it in. The transfer from Utah, he's going to be a good player for this Aggies team.
There's no doubt. I mean, this kid averaged 10 points and 4 assists a game as a freshman in the Pac-12. Now, last year he was down a little bit, his numbers. He had a triple-double as a freshman. He is a very good player.
His dad, Chris, was part of the Utah coaching staff, and now as a high school coach in the Logan area. He started practice today. Game next week for the first time.
Well, you got experience all over the place. You got a guy like Grant Golden at 6'10" who can play inside and outside. And then Sherrod coming back from that knee injury, spotting up in the corner. Richmond up 5.
It is on top by 5, 18-13 with 12:21 to play in the first half. Lap, let's get your keys for tonight's game.
Well, big key for Utah State is don't turn the ball over. When they turned it over, they've been in trouble. And for Richmond, they've got to contain Horvath. This is a guy who's also an inside-outside guy. But let's take a look here at what good dribble penetration creates. We got the great dribble penetration. Now, stop right there. Look at Justin Bean. You got Sherrod here, turns his head, he's not even looking, and then Bean just runs right in. He doesn't stand still. He runs right into the open spot there, and that's how they were able to score.
Justin Bean, out of the state of Oklahoma, grew up a huge Oklahoma Sooners fan. Big fan of Blake Griffin and his style of play. All right, Richmond 5 of 8 lap from beyond the arc.
I mean, this is a very good three-point shooting team, and, you know, when you have 5 guys out like that, it's the way college basketball is being played nowadays, is being able to produce from that three-point line is critical.
Matt Grace checks in for the first time. Played 84 games, just a couple starts for Richmond. Idle Rock back in for Utah State. Burton with the rebound. That's already his 5th rebound in this first half. Isaiah Wilson in for the first time. He made a couple starts a season ago for Richmond. Richmond moves the basketball exceptionally well. It's partly because they play together so many games.
And, you know, you take a look at the lane. The lane is wide open because you've got all guys out there who can make a shot.
Grace tips it out, and Richmond will get a fresh 20. Wilson, little shot fake into the paint off the fingertips of Burton. And out of bounds, 11:27 to play first half. Richmond a 5-point lead. We will be right back.
Being here at Navy, we understand the significance of that and the sacrifices that are made by those who have attended here and gone on to represent our country so well and give us the freedom that we have.
For us to be part of the 8th year of the Veterans Classic, we feel really honored to join that list and to represent our school and our university in this prestigious event.
Really is an incredible event. We are honored to be part of it each and every year at CBS Sports Network. Chris Mooney and Ryan Odom. Now, Ryan, obviously at UMBC, would have liked to have been here even if he had stayed at UMBC, because as we mentioned, he still has a house here in Annapolis. And Chris Mooney understands not only the significance of this kind of a tournament being around Veterans Day, but also the competition has been excellent year in and year out. Justin Bean to the corner, Miller for three. He's still off the mark, and Crabtree with the rebound for Richmond. Got to get Brock Miller going.
Yeah, well, you know, one of the things that hurts Brock Miller is if there's not a lot of dribble penetration, and his guys are staying glued to him. And when you stay glued to him, he struggles a little bit. Somebody's got to create for him and get his man off of him a little bit so he gets some open looks.
Grace thought about the three, instead goes inside. And off the front of the rim, the rebound is pulled down by Utah State. Idle-Rock gets it to Ashworth. Tough pass to Horvath. No look to Bean, and Grace is called for the foul. Let's check in with John Rothstein.
Well, guys, you've been talking about the importance of Brock Miller for Utah State. He has quietly been an X factor for this program. In the past 3 seasons, when Brock Miller has hit double figures, Utah State is 28-8, Tom.
He said this year, he said the fact that it's the 4th coach that he's had at Utah State, he said, you know, this whole thing is making me feel old.
And that's not the easiest thing, having that many coaches and that many changes in philosophy.
Bean made the first free throw. He'll get a second one. Try to pull Utah State within 3. Now, that was a problem, too, in the last game. They were 17 of 28 from the free throw line, just 61%. And Ryan Odom was telling us today at shoot-around, they have to be better from the free throw line. 10.5 to play here in the first half. 3-point game. Crabtree nearly lost on the baseline. Here's Wilson hopping into the paint. Backdoor pass to Crabtree, who lays it in.
Yeah, that spacing really makes it tough. And when those guys are making threes, it's really hard.
Crabtree played on the same AAU program that produced Grant Golden. Idle-Rock gets his feet set, and he's able to connect the three-pointer. Idle-Rock, who's from London, didn't start playing basketball until he was 15. Was a soccer player, huge Arsenal fan. And he said, yeah, it is a little odd that I wound up at Utah after being at UMBC. As Golden backs his way in and kisses it off the glass. Well, he's got a complete game, Grant Golden does. And Richmond with a 4-point lead. Under 10 to play, first half.
Yeah, he's so important in their offense because they like, oh, that's a great cut again. I tell you, they've done a good job with their back cuts, Utah State, and getting some open layups.
Yeah, they haven't had to rely on the three solely because they're getting toward the basket. Here's Gilliard, a little hesitation. Golden running this this offense. The center a lot of times is a point guard, and that's why you have to have a guy that can crisply pass the ball.
Pass, and he's got to be able to shoot it so that he's guarded. If you're guarded, it's a lot. The lane is open to make those back cut passes.
Brock Miller from the corner. Ashworth finds Bean in the corner. Bean lets it fly. It's good. Nothing but net. And it's a 1-point game.
Much improved three-point shooter, Justin Bean. That is not something that he really did with regularity. I mean, he's got 2 in this game. He had 1 in the first game. He had 10 all last season.
Zeroing in on 900 points during his career. And Golden lets that one bounce over his head out of bounds.
Well, let's tell you, first thing, look, stop it right there. Look at the space. All this great spacing that you get from Richmond. And what does that do? That's going to create some tough opportunities. You get a dribble penetration. Brock Miller turns his head, loses his man, back cuts him, layup.
Yeah, the emphasis for Utah State today defensively was no backdoor, watch the slips, and watch the phantom screens.
But you know what happens, Tom? Because Richmond has made some threes in this game, it becomes a little bit harder to just pack it in there and take away the back cuts.
And that is a beautiful cut and a two-handed jam by Trevin Dorius, back from an ankle injury. He may eventually make his way into the starting lineup and add some big-time size at 7 feet tall.
Yeah, I mean, he had 5 points and 6 rebounds in their first game. He's got some potential, Dorius does.
And he was able to keep that ball alive. And now a steal by Crabtree. Steps his way to the basket off the glass. Awkwardly gets the roll around the rim. I don't know about you, Lap. I love the action in this game.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm a little surprised at this pace, to be quite honest with you, Tom. I mean, and not that Richmond doesn't try. They averaged 75 a game last year, but they're trying to get it up and down.
Yeah, Dorius is going to be credited with that bucket. He got his big, long arms above the cylinder to tap it in. He's got back-to-back points. And Golden got a step on him, and it's stripped away by Bean. That's the help defense they wanted against the bigs. And here's Gilliard's second steal. He's got such quick hands. That's a tough shot. That is a beautiful reverse layup.
Yeah, you know what? He knew when he was at the wing that that's what he was going to do. He was going to get to the other side of the basket.
I wish I thought that well and that quickly when it came to sports.
Yeah.
1 point lead for Richmond, 28-27. Idle Rock looks in. Dorius was open. Idle Rock lost it. It'll be knocked away by Crabtree. Little two-man game as Golden lays it in.
That's what you call a picture-perfect 2-on-1 fast break right there. But you take a look at this guy, you can see what he's done to the NCAA in his 5 years. He's gonna be the leader in steals. And then Grant Golden with this 2-on-1 fast break. That is picture perfect. 30-27 Spider.
Starting at noon Eastern, join CBS Sports Network for a full day on the gridiron as Bucknell battles Army at West Point, followed by Marshall hosting UAB. Now later on, it's double the Mountain West mayhem as Air Force clashes against Colorado State at 7. Then we end the night with a top 25 action as 22nd ranked San Diego State takes on Nevada. Catch it all right here on the 24-hour home of CBS Sports. All right, so Jacob Gilliard is a special player, and we've enjoyed watching him in tonight's ball game.
Well, let's face it, this kid can do everything for you. He's in his 5th year. He can shoot threes. Obviously, what he does defensively to be the defensive player of the year in the A-10, like every year, is a credit to him. You know, 20 steals. He's the all-time leader. It's a great guy to have. You know, he actually is right there with Pepe Sanchez. I remember. Let me tell you something, John. Let me tell you something, Tom. Linehan, he stole from me a lot.
Yeah, he did.
Murdoch, he stole from me a lot.
Yeah, he did.
Pepe Sanchez, he stole from me a lot. So 3 in the top 5, they got some steals from me.
I remember talking to John Linehan when Briante Weber was on the cusp of breaking his record. Then, unfortunately, Briante got hurt.
Yep.
He would have sped right on past John Linehan. John's been great. He's assistant coach at Georgia right now. He's been great talking about Gilliard. He said, listen, he's 5'9". You have to have a little dog in you when you're 5'9".
Yeah.
And he said Gilliard definitely does. He checks in on Gilliard's numbers from time to time.
Oh, I'm sure.
John, what else you got there, buddy?
Well, guys, another thing, too, about Jacob Gilliard, a lot of times when you see somebody that's such a great defender, they're a specialist, they don't have the offensive game. Tom, you just referenced Briante Weber. Gilliard, a much more of a potent threat from 3 on that side of the offensive floor, and he's keeping some pretty good company, as you mentioned, Tom, with the guys at the top of that list.
Yeah, and don't forget, too, he's zeroing in on 600 assists. He's tops in Richmond history. And by the way, we've got a little bit of an issue with the scoreboard here at Alumni Hall. The timeouts are a little askew, so they're trying to figure them out right now. By the way, it's great to have fans back everywhere we go here at Alumni Hall. That's what the coaches have been talking about. You know, Navy had a huge win against Virginia. Ed DeChellis talked about the fact that it was a raucous crowd at Virginia. You know, if you talk to Ryan Odom, he was at UMBC last year. They didn't have any fans.
Yeah.
So he said that to have Horvath and Idle Rock as part of his team now at Utah State, they get a chance to play in front of a crowd here at Navy. It's a big deal to have the energy back.
I mean, let's face it, you know, you want to play in front of people. I mean, I remember even when I played in college, I played in high school, but even when you played in the league at West 4th Street, you would loved it when people would stop and watch the games. That's what you want.
Well, this Veterans Classic has been a joy to be part of. It started in 2014. It honors the vets of all service branches, of course, Veterans Day being yesterday. 22 teams from 7 conferences have played, including 25 future NBA players. And there also have been 8 teams that have gone on to the NCAA tournament the year that they were in the Veterans Classic. And in 2015, North Carolina lost in the championship game. All right, so the clock issue continues. Players are cooling down a little bit, Lap.
No, we were getting a lecture from Stephen Ashworth there. You know, he came over to say hello.
Yeah. And by the way, Ashworth is hoping that his running mate in the backcourt, Sean Bairstow, will be back soon. He fell a couple weeks ago and broke his wrist. I don't think I've ever seen anybody run the stairs and the arena so much during shoot-around like Bairstow was today.
You know, and an experienced guy who played a lot last year, could shoot it. They could use him.
All right, the clock is all situated. Our thanks to John Rothstein for helping out with the clock over there. He's a good timekeeper. Ashworth, little hesitation, goes to the corner. Three-pointer is no good, and a putback no good as well, and Grace is able to get the rebound. Dorius had it. He just rolled it off his palm. And Z Hamoda was the one who took that shot. He's the first Division I player from Bahrain. Grace for 3 for Richmond. It's good. He sized it up and had time, and he is a big shooter.
I mean, he was 14 for 36 from three-point last year. Obviously not in as many games. He only played 23 games last year, but this kid can really shoot it. They have a very good bench, too, Richmond.
He had 16 points in the NIT quarterfinal. Dorius knocks it out of bounds. I don't know who touched it last. It looks like it was touched last by KO. I thought Dorius may have touched. No, they are going to call a foul. Yeah, I was wondering about that, Lap.
Yeah, it looked like he went over the back.
Yeah. Ryan Odom didn't think so. Here it is.
Yeah, that is. I'd say that's a foul.
I would think so. You know, the left arm on the left shoulder of the other player. 5.5 to play here in the first half. 6-point lead for Richmond. Spiders 7 of 10 from beyond the arc. Gilliard to KO. KO trying to use his speed, keep his pivot foot, did not have the angle. And Hamoda with the rebound. Here's Horvath off the glass, too strong, and Dorius, that's his second cleanup of this half.
I tell you, I watched him last year because we were in the Mountain West a lot, and I think this kid has potential.
Yeah, he's been out with an ankle injury, so it's just about getting his wind, his game shape.
And you know, he doesn't. I mean, that was a pretty good closeout on Jacob Gilliard that time. Who's about as quick a guy as you have on the court.
KO trying to back his way in again against Dorius. Dorius using the 7-foot height and the long wingspan. And a foul called against Bailey of Richmond.
You know, when Dorius came in, and I saw he had the guard KO, who's not a good shooter, but who's very good off the dribble. I was like, this could be a problem, but he has done a terrific job at containing him off the dribble and bringing the energy. That steal happened for Utah State because of the way he defended.
Yeah, so now Utah State down by 4 with a chance to pull within 1 with a 3. Rylan Jones walks it up the floor. Jones, entry pass to Dorius. Horvath off the screen. Still time on the shot clock. Shot clock at 7. Horvath along the baseline has it blocked away, but Bean is there to lay it in. Averaged a double-double last year. As Lap said in the open, former walk-on.
And you know what it is about him? He smells rebounds. I mean, he chases down everything. He's a terrific offensive rebounder for that reason.
Golden misses. 2-point game. Here's Rylan Jones. Jones pull-up jumper from 7. It's an air ball. Gilliard with the rebound. So an open possession for Utah State. Richmond trying to build its lead. Too strong for Grace, but Golden has the board. Here's Gilliard. Gilliard speeds along the baseline. He doesn't sit much, by the way. How about that? Out of control shot. They're going to call a foul on Horvath.
Oh, I thought they were calling a charge.
2-point lead. First game of the Veterans Classic. Richmond 7 of 12 from beyond the arc. They lead it by 2, 33-31. Coming up on AT&T at the half, join Brent Stover, Chris Walker, Pete Gillen, and Gary Parrish. It's an all-star cast for a look around college basketball, plus first half highlights and stats. Well, part of being here at the Veterans Classic is that you get a chance to see the yard. It's a beautiful place. And Utah State getting a chance to go on their tour these last couple of days. Richmond doing the same. Utah State's actually staying here until Sunday before they head to South Carolina. They're going to go to D.C. and check out the sites there as well, taking advantage of it. Leading scorers Justin Bean leads the way for all scores with 15. Grant Golden has 12 for Chris Mooney's squad. And Golden will go to the free throw line. Grant Golden's first free throw attempt of the night. We asked Chris Mooney about all these guys coming back, what it was like, and he said it was great. He said, I didn't put any pressure on them. I wrote a letter to their parents. That was it, and I just let it roll from there. Golden misses the first. What do you got on Grant Golden, John Rothstein?
Well, Tom, I'm not comparing Grant Golden to this player, but universally throughout the Atlantic 10, Grant Golden in opposing programs is known as Nikola Jokic of the Atlantic 10 because of the way he facilitates everything. And think about this for a second, guys. At the 5 spot last year, Grant Golden had 7 games last season with 5 or more assists. Tom, you don't see that from a 5-man.
No, you do not.
I mean, I can see the comparison. I mean, don't get me wrong. He's not the MVP of the NBA. Let me just say that. But I see the way he plays, yes.
Richmond with another steal. Golden gives it up to Burton.
But you know, these, not that, I mean, Chris Mooney has changed his style. It's not totally Princeton like it was. But Pete Carrill, who's one of the great coaches of all time, always had a guy on the high post that could pass and shoot. Always. Yeah, and that's where Grant Golden comes in perfect.
And Golden could do that.
Yeah.
And you said it. You have to be able to shoot.
Well, because his man's got to come out. You want to be guarded. If you want the lane to be open, you want people to guard you. If you can't shoot, I would back off you completely, but you can't do that to him.
Yeah, you think about some of the centers at Princeton that were so good. Kit Miller, Steve Goodrich, and then Chris Young under Bill Carmody was that way too.
They could all pass, and they could all shoot. And that spread the floor and allowed for all those back cuts.
By the way, Dorius really has been a revelation with the way he's played inside. Golden, another 3. How about that? It's a 7-point game, 40-33. Bean no longer leads all scores.
I mean, in 21 games last year, Grant Golden only made 9. So, I mean, he's not like a knockdown, great three-point shooter. He was 9 for 18 last year, but, boy, tonight he looks much improved.
Dorius for the baseline, soft touch, 7 feet.
You know, they got a weird lineup in there now because they have Horvath, Bean, and Dorius. They don't really have a 3-man. They got like 2 4-men. I guess Horvath's playing the 3 at this point, which he can do. I don't know if he can defensively, but he can on offense.
Gilliard, entry pass to Golden. 1.5 to play in the first half. Golden got his man off his feet, heads to the basket, tipped momentarily. Shot clock is at 3. Sherrod didn't realize it. Golden does, off the front of the rim, and Horvath tips it to Bean. Watch the ankles. Bean to the baseline, and Horvath has it knocked away.
I mean, you see Grant Golden here. I mean, he's just too wide open there. Dorius has to be closer to him, no doubt about it. And there was a miscommunication. 2 guys went to guard Gilliard on that pick and roll. He ran a pop, open for 3.
How about 19 points in the first half for Grant Golden? Ashworth off the high screen. Amoto along the baseline, reverses his field and lays it in.
Really good move there.
Said when he was trying to get his visa from Bahrain to come to the States to play college basketball, the embassy said, wait a minute, we don't have college basketball players.
And you see Ryan Odom took Dorius out of the game because of his struggles defensively against Golden.
Wilson along the baseline. Crabtree, long three, no good. Ashworth with the rebound. All right, so 30 seconds left. It's a three-point game.
Well, you know, they want to try to run this clock down as far as they can. If they have a chance to go to the locker room tied or down 2, they'll have done pretty well.
And you think a lot of points?
It's a lot. I think the pace has been great.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong, Richmond did score 75 a game last year. Now, you never know what Ryan Odom's going to do in his first year, but they did try to run at UMBC.
Odom on the baseline, lost it. Bean picks it up, gets the shot, no good. Here's Crabtree, 4 seconds left. He has time, gives it to Burton, who lets it fly, and it's good! He rattled it home right at the buzzer. It's a 6-point lead for the Spiders. Now they have to make sure it's good. It's good. Oh yeah, it's good.
Great presence of mind there, and I tell you what, Horvath did really good not fouling there because it looked like he could have. He didn't. He contested it hard, but they knocked it down.
Well, that's the end of the first half. Coming up after the break, we'll send you back to our New York studio where Brent Stover, Chris Walker, Pete Gillett, and Gary Parrish are standing by for AT&T at the half. You're watching college basketball on CBS Sports Network.